You filled the feeder. You chose the good seed. You cleaned the tray. You waited by the window, expecting the cardinals, finches, chickadees, and little sparrows to find it within minutes. But they didn't come. Or maybe they came once, landed for 2 seconds, grabbed nothing, and vanished into the trees like something about your yard had warned them away. And here's the part most people never realize. Birds do not judge a feeder by how full it is. They judge it by how safe it feels. Before a bird eats, it checks the space around the food. It checks the distance to cover. It checks the shadows. It checks whether another bird looks nervous. It checks whether the feeder moves strangely in the wind. It even checks whether the ground below looks like a place where danger waits. To us, a full feeder looks like a gift. To a bird, a full feeder in the wrong place can look like a trap. That is why one yard can have expensive seed sitting untouched for days, while a neighbor's simple little feeder is covered with birds every morning. It is not always the food. Sometimes, it is the silent message around the food. Today, we are going through the hidden safety checks birds make before they decide whether your feeder is worth trusting. Some of these are so small you would never notice them from the window. One of them can make birds avoid a feeder even when they are hungry. And the last one is the mistake most people only discover after the birds have already stopped coming back. Number 1, the feeder is too exposed. This is the mistake that looks completely harmless to humans. In fact, many people place feeders in the open on purpose. They want a clear view from the kitchen window. They want better photos. They want to see every bird that lands. But birds are not looking for a beautiful viewing spot. They are looking for an escape route. A small bird at a feeder is vulnerable. Its head is down, its feet are occupied, its attention is split between eating and surviving. Every second it spends in the open is a second where a hawk, cat, or larger aggressive bird could take advantage. That is why birds often prefer feeders placed near shrubs, small trees, hedges, or natural cover, not buried deep inside branches where predators can hide, but close enough that a bird can grab a seed and retreat within a second. If your feeder is standing in the middle of an empty lawn with nowhere nearby to escape, birds may visit once, feel the exposure, and decide the risk is not worth the meal. The fix is not to hide the feeder completely. It is to give birds a safe rhythm. Place the feeder close enough to cover that a small bird can escape quickly, but not so close that a cat can crouch underneath and leap from the shadows. A good distance is usually a few feet from shrubs or small trees, where birds can pause, watch, fly in, take a seed, and fly back out. That little back and forth movement may look nervous to us, but to a bird, it is confidence. It means the yard gives them choices, and birds trust places that give them choices. You may notice something change when you move a feeder just a little closer to natural cover. At first, one chickadee comes in, then another follows. Then a cardinal waits on the branch above, watching the smaller birds test the space first. And by the next morning, the feeder that sat untouched for a week suddenly feels alive. Not because the food changed, because the danger around the food changed. Number 2, the ground below the feeder feels unsafe. Most people look at the feeder itself. Birds look under it. They notice spilled seed. They notice shells. They notice muddy patches where animals have been walking. They notice whether the grass below is flattened, disturbed, or too open. And even if they do not understand it the way humans do, they respond to the pattern. A messy feeding area can attract exactly the visitors birds are trying to avoid. Mice, rats, raccoons, squirrels, outdoor cats. Sometimes even larger birds that learn to wait nearby for smaller ones to drop their guard. And once those animals begin visiting, the yard changes. The feeder may still be full. The seed may still be good. But the space starts carrying a different message. Small birds are incredibly sensitive to repeated risk. If a sparrow lands and sees movement below, it remembers. If a finch hears rustling in the leaves under the feeder, it hesitates. If a cardinal finds the ground covered in old seed and strange tracks, it may feed once, then choose somewhere else tomorrow. This is why a dirty area below the feeder can quietly undo everything you are doing right above it. Clean the ground regularly. Remove old shells and wet seed. Use a tray if needed, but empty it often. Keep the area open enough to see movement, but not so bare that birds feel trapped. Because sometimes birds do not abandon the feeder, they abandon what is waiting underneath it. Number 3. The feeder moves in a way birds do not trust. This is one of those details humans barely notice. A feeder swinging gently in the breeze can look peaceful to us, but to a small bird, movement means information. A branch moving softly is normal. Leaves shifting together are normal. But a feeder that spins, bangs, tilts, or swings unpredictably can feel wrong. Birds are built to read tiny changes in motion. It is how they survive. A sudden jerk in the feeder chain, a loose hook tapping against metal, a plastic dome rattling in the wind, a feeder twisting every time one bird lands. These little movements may not seem important, but they can make the feeding spot feel unstable. And unstable places do not earn trust. You may see this happen without realizing what it means. A finch lands, the feeder swings too sharply, and it flies off. A chickadee hovers nearby, but refuses to land. A cardinal watches from the fence, leans forward once, then disappears into the hedge. It is not rejecting the food. It is rejecting the uncertainty. The fix is simple. Make the feeder feel steady. Shorten the hanging chain if it swings too much. Move it away from strong wind corridors between buildings. Use a pole-mounted feeder if your yard is especially breezy. Check that lids, trays, and perches are tight, quiet, and secure. A feeder does not have to be perfectly still, but it should move like part of the yard, not like something strange fighting the air. Number 4. There is too much sudden human activity nearby. This one is difficult because it often comes from love. You notice a bird at the feeder, so you move closer to watch. You open the door quietly. You step onto the porch. You lift your phone for a better view. But from the bird's side, the pattern is different. Food appears. Then a large creature appears. Then the door moves. Then footsteps come closer. Then a face watches from behind glass. After this happens enough times, some birds begin to connect the feeder with interruption. Not always danger, but disturbance. And for a small animal, disturbance is enough. The best yards have a rhythm birds can predict. Fill the feeder, then step away. Watch from a distance. Let the birds arrive without feeling followed. Over time, they may accept your presence. But trust begins when the food does not come with pressure. Number 5. The feeder keeps changing before birds have time to trust it. This is the mistake patient people rarely make, but worried people make all the time. You put up a feeder. Birds do not come right away, so you move it. Then you change the seed. Then you move it again. Then you add another feeder. Remove the old one. Switch the perch. Change the height. And wonder why the birds still seem unsure. But birds do not trust new things instantly. To them, anything new in the yard must be studied. A new shape near the fence. A shiny roof on a feeder. A different pole. A dish that was not there yesterday. These are not decorations to a bird. They are changes in the map of safety. And birds survive by respecting changes. Sometimes the first bird to approach is not hungry enough to risk it. Sometimes it watches for 2 days before landing. Sometimes one brave chickadee tests it first, then the others follow later. But if the feeder moves before that trust forms, the whole process starts over. So give them time. Keep the feeder in one safe place. Keep the food consistent. Keep the ground clean. Keep your own movements calm and predictable. Let the birds discover that nothing bad happens when they land there. Because a feeder does not become trusted the moment you hang it. It becomes trusted after the yard proves itself again and again. And when that trust finally arrives, you will feel it. The feeder that sat silent will suddenly have life around it. A cardinal will wait in the shrub. A finch will land without panic. A chickadee will dart in, take one seed, and come back for another. That is not random. That is permission. So if your feeder is full and the birds are ignoring it, do not assume they are ungrateful. They may simply be asking one question: is this place safe enough to trust? If this helped you see your yard differently, tell me in the comments which safety check surprised you most. And share this with someone who keeps filling a feeder, and wondering why the birds never come.